I want to start today with a list. Not a list to agree with, but a list to notice your reaction to. I'm not good enough. I don't have what it takes. People like me don't do things like that. I'm too old to change. I'm not the kind of person who does that. Notice how solid those statements feel, how much they sound like facts rather than opinions. If a close friend said any of those things about themselves, you'd push back, wouldn't you? You'd see clearly how narrow and unfair those conclusions are. What's obvious to you about them is invisible to them. The same is true of your own limiting beliefs. They sit so close to us that they stop being visible. They become the air that we breathe. Most limiting beliefs are formed early, in moments that seem small at the time. A careless remark from a teacher, a comparison made by a parent, a failure interpreted too broadly, a label that stuck. Children don't have the capacity to interpret such moments generously. They take language literally. A passing remark becomes a conclusion. A label becomes an identity. And then the belief quietly hardens over time, reinforced by the mind's tendency to notice evidence that confirms what it already believes and overlooks evidence that doesn't. My own clearest example involves a word I heard often as a child: clumsy. Looking back now, I understand exactly what my parents meant. I was energetic, boisterous. I ran everywhere. I didn't always look where I was going. Things got knocked over. I tripped. I made more noise than was strictly necessary. I'm certain they intended nothing more than a gentle correction. Slow down. Be more careful. But I took that word to heart. And here's the logic of a 7-year-old, followed exactly. If I'm clumsy, well, then I'm not measuring up. If I'm not measuring up, well, maybe I'm a bit stupid. If I'm clumsy and a bit stupid, then I'm not good enough. And if I'm not good enough, well, who would really want me around? From the outside, as an adult, that sequence is obviously absurd. The leap from clumsy to unworthy is a non sequitur. No adult would construct that logic consciously. But a child doesn't have the adult's perspective. And the belief formed quietly, without anyone intending it, and it ran in the background for years. Here's what is interesting about limiting beliefs. They aren't only damaging, in a strange way, they're also protective. If you believe you're not capable, then you avoid situations that might disprove that belief, but also situations that might prove the opposite. The belief keeps you safe from failure, but it also keeps you safe from discovery. I use a small example in my work. The last biscuit on a plate. You'd quite like it, but you hang back. You check whether anyone else wants it first. You say, no, you go ahead, even though you'd genuinely enjoy it. You're not consciously reciting a belief about your worth. You're simply behaving in line with a story that has been running quietly for years. Other people's wants matter more than mine. Small moment, but it's a large pattern. The first step isn't to replace a limiting belief with a positive one. The first step is to see it clearly. Begin by listening to your internal commentary in moments of stress. What do you say to yourself when something goes wrong? When you're criticised? When you consider taking a risk? Name what you find, then interrogate it. Is this always true? Where did it come from? Does it account for the full range of my experience? What usually happens when you examine a limiting belief directly is that it turns out to be far less solid than it seemed. The belief may not disappear entirely. What changes is your relationship to it. You move from being unconsciously governed by it to consciously relating to it. And that shift, small as it sounds, changes a great deal. I'll leave you with the question I started with in a different form. Not, do you have limiting beliefs? You do. We all do. But which one has been quietly running your life? And when did you last look at it clearly? I explore this in Living from the Heart, the first book in the Heart series. You'll find more at bernardcates.com. There's a link in the description. See you next time.